working? Let me start the music. Oh, anybody tell me? Record. There we go. Okay.
Record.
Thank you. And we're waiting for the intro. And let's see, we're almost streaming live on every channel. And I have all this sexy music, but I'm not going to do that. So let's just play this. Here we go. Can you hear it? You have to dance. James, it's required.
Welcome
He's
to
dancing
Read My
already.
Lips Radio, a lively
And
hour
I'm
of
fighting the
unscripted
sunshine.
conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host,
Terrible
aka Radio
You're a
Red,
wonderful
asks
dancer. On my show,
novelists,
everybody's
artists,
a great dancer.
photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors,
people.
and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's AKA Radio Red.
Thank you to the voice of Ryan Treasure, who always introduces me. I'm AKA Radio Red. That's my Monday name. Happy to be here. Rebranded the show a couple weeks ago. Used to be Just Read My Lips, and now it's the Creativity Show. We took a bigger umbrella, a bigger tent, and we want to be the Creativity Show. And I had some help with the rebranding, and I'll tell my guests later on. I have three wonderful people who have been on the show before, and thank you to our mutual connection, Mickey Mickelson at Creative Edge PR, who gets me wonderful, wonderful people like the three of you. And I'm going to put my mouse down. Zoom doesn't want to show your names, and I'm just going to keep flipping that mouse up and down, up and down. So we have Jennifer J.M. Shaw, and we have Alison with one L, McBain, and we have James L. without the period after the L. I've always worried about and wondered about that, James L. So James, is there a reason you don't put a period after the L?
I'm lazy.
Okay, well, I want to make sure I don't do it. Everybody, it's time for the put up your fingers in the shape of the letter L, and we're going to do a shout out. LLL is not feeling well today, so she'll catch the show on record. But on the count of three, join me in saying hello, LLL. 1, 2, 3. Hello,
L L L.
LL. Let's do it one more time. Hello,
Hello.
L
L.
L.
First place. The best. Nobody's ever done it that fast. Nobody's ever done it. I'll have to tell Jordan, who's not here today, to put you on the list for the number one in sync. Yes, LL hasn't been feeling well. She emailed me and said she might not be on tonight, but she will catch the show on demand. So we want to make sure she knows we love her. She is our most loyal listener. She's lovely, lanky Laura Legs, and she's been listening to the show. And normally, I think you all know, she would be emailing me at around 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time with a little book report on what each of you has said. So she'll catch me later on that. And LLL, we're sending you love and thinking of you. Today is October 13th. So much is happening in the world, but all I'll say is in the U.S., it's Columbus Day. And what is the holiday in Canada, ladies?
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Okay,
Oh,
that's
you're
lovely.
ahead of us then.
Yes.
They are. James, do you have a holiday in the, are you still in the Bronx, James?
No, I'm in Virginia Beach.
Oh, for goodness sake. Do you have a special holiday in Virginia Beach you want to celebrate today?
No, it's Columbus Day.
Okay. All right. We'll go with Columbus Day. So is anybody a Libra besides me? My birthday was a week ago. Anybody? Wait a minute. All right. Allison, what's your date? Allison?
September 24th.
You just sneaked in there. And
I did, yeah.
Jennifer, what's your date?
My birthday was yesterday.
Oh, I'm the 7th. You're the 12th. James, when are you?
I'm in July 6th.
You don't. All right. Well, the
Oh,
6th is a good number.
4th of July, freedom.
I'm going to
all that
read a
kind of
little
stuff.
poem to all of you for a Libra, okay? For the Libras. James, you'll just put up with this. Libra, the scale seeks balance and grace, harmony and fairness in each time and place. Charming and social, oh, aren't we though? With laughter they glow, a lover of beauty where artistic breezes flow. Yet indecision can cloud what Libra partners say. Still, Libra brings light to brighten the day. From Serena Williams' power to Gwen Stefani's song, Hugh Jackman's charisma has it dazzled us for so long. Bruno Mars grooves with a Libra's delight, and John Lennon's music still shines ever bright. Did you like that?
I love that.
Pretty,
Especially John
I'm
Lennon.
glad. Pretty cool. And let me see if I have what day is today. I said it was the, did I say what day
13th.
it was? 13th, but I have the number of day in the year. I have so many notes, only like 15 pages here, seriously. So let's see. No, I don't have it. I'll tell you. Okay, couple birthdays today. Birthdays today. Paul Simon is 84. We all know Simon and Garfunkel. We all know Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, all of those. Happy birthday. Sammy Hagar, the Red Rocker, is 78 today. Who knew? Marie Osmond, still around and kicking, 66 years old. Kate Walsh, remember? Grey's Anatomy and Private.
Oh,
She's
okay.
58. And you remember her? Yes?
I do now.
You
Yes.
do now. And Sacha Baron Cohen, the actor comedian who portrayed
All
Borat.
right.
All right. He's 54. He's all grown up. Today is Kick Butt Day. It's also No Bra Day. I'm not saying a word. And it's National Yorkshire Pudding Day. And I have a couple of music history events here. In 2018, Paul Simon had his farewell tour, and then he went on Saturday Night Live as a guest for the ninth time on his 77th birthday. That was in 2018. On this day in 2008, 5 months after she married Jay-Z, Beyonce released the sassy Single Ladies Put a Ring on It. I like that song. It went to #1 for a month and won the Grammy for the Song of the Year. Single Ladies Put a Ring. I won't try to sing. In 2002, the sisterly act, the Spanish act Las Ketchup. Have you ever heard of that, anybody? Las Ketchup. It's a singing group. They scored a UK #1 hit with the strange song, The Ketchup Song. Okay, it was #1 in the UK, but it only went to 54 in the US. James, I don't think we're going to miss that one. And in 1979, we're going back in time, Michael Jackson's Don't Stop Till You Get Enough topped the Hot 100 list. So those are our interesting what's happening on this day today. So let me go and read my intro here. And I have a very interesting something that I don't think I ever did for the three of you when you're on before. So let's start. Welcome to the Creativity Show where inspiration takes flight. I'm Radio Red on my Scarlett Mic, live streaming bright, I hope. Today on the Marvels of Creativity, my panelists will share how life's surprising twists inspire their storytelling flair. Alison McBain, wave hello when I call you. James L. Hill and J.M. Shaw take part, revealing cool insights from each creative heart. No blah, blah, yada, yada, just discoveries true. An hour of savvy and spark awaits to my audience, each of you. May their stories spark fresh creative visions in you so you'll keep dreaming, creating, and shining through. And now I have a special gift for each of you. Alison, you're first. With roots that cross oceans and stories untold, Alison McBain's path shines bright and shines bold. Born in Alberta, raised by California's sea, now back in Canada, it's where she loves to be. A scholar of history, of classics and lore, Alison's words weave worlds, both real and more. From Bradbury's wonder to Tanith Lee's art, Alison found her own voice and followed her heart. 200 tales in journals and rhyme, across every genre, transcending time. From the Rose Queen's magic to New Empire's fame, Alison's pen redefines what storytelling became. Now associate editor at Scribes Micro's Door, Alison champions new voices and opens the door for more. Alison, what'd you think?
Oh, that's so sweet.
I think you like it. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And let me go to James. You ready, James?
Ready.
Okay. From Bronx-born streets where toughness was learned, James L. Hill's fire was hard-earned. Raised on blues, soul, and rock's fierce sound, a flower child's heart in a battleground. Through civil rights storms and Vietnam's flame, life taught James courage, not fortune or fame. 12 years of nuns and lessons divine, yet his moral compass drew its own line. A coder by day, a dreamer by night, James weaves crime and fantasy in shadow and light. From Forest Apache to stories untold, James writes of life, raw, real, and bold. Back to his first love where imagination and voices flew, James writes with rhythm, grit, and midnight magic too. James, what'd you think?
Very nice. You're quite the poet.
Thank you very much. I just call these rhyming intros. We're not. I'm in a poetry group, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that, but not for right now. JM, you are next, and I'm just calling you JM because that's what you put in your bio. So, but I'll say Jennifer. From British Columbia's wild northern skies, Jennifer M. Shaw learned early where wonder lies. Through Alberta's fields, her story took flight, blending science by day and worlds by night. Her X-ray eye and her writer's heart entwined, seeing both body and soul truly aligned. Diagnosed later, she found her key. Neurodivergence unlocked her creativity. JM's dark fantasy realms with emotion run deep, where grief and resilience together keep. From ascension to fractured veils command, her heroes seek light in a shadowed land. With husband and sons near Calgary's range, Jennifer writes of courage, love, and change. An advocate proud, she gives others a voice, inviting her readers to dream and rejoice. Jennifer?
Oh, that was awesome.
I'm
Thank you.
glad. I'm glad. Now let me finish the poem. So, about the rhyme. So, gather round where the cool vibes sway as we dive deep into creativity today. AKA Radio's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So, kids, how'd I do? What do you think?
Hey, awesome.
Oh, I got applause. Thank you very much. Oh, and snap, snap, snap. Thank you,
Oh
James.
yeah, for poetry.
There you go. Okay, so what I'd like to do before we do the opening quotes, the fictional quotes you sent me, I'd like to ask each of you to just spend a minute or two, not long, is there anything I missed or didn't give enough importance to in the origin story rhyming bio that I read? So let's start off with who we got first. We've got Allison. I'm going to put you on speaker view. Just tell us a little more if you want to tell us about the books you've written recently. We'd love to know. Go ahead, Allison, and welcome.
Oh, thanks. And it's so wonderful to be here. And that was such a wonderful opening.
Thank you.
Yeah, so one of my crazy projects, and I think we talked about this last time I was on, was it's called Author versus AI. So last year, I was writing a book a week for 34 weeks. And this was part of my project to bring sort of awareness to AI entering the creative sphere. I used no AI at all during my writing. And this year, since I talked to you last year, this year I have just been editing those books because no first draft is perfect and starting to get them out there. So with any luck, hopefully they will be hitting the shelves next year and for many years to come.
Wonderful. And what's the count now? How many books do you have? Want to tell us?
Published or unpublished?
You pick one of each.
Okay.
Both.
Well, I'm
Tell me
also,
both.
I was going to say I'm also a ghostwriter. So I've written over 24 books for clients. I have 4 published under my own name, and then these 34 waiting in the wings to be published. So
Wow, wow. And any AI at all using anything for editing or formatting or anything, or is it just you said
nope,
no?
it's all human sweat, sweat and tears,
Sweat and tears.
essentially.
Hopefully, none of the third part that goes with that.
Yeah,
Thank you
exactly.
very much. Lovely to have you back. James L. Hill without the period after the L. I still, I fight that all the time not to put that in there because I want to be true to you. James, we're losing your beautiful beard there. I need you to just go back. Just, there we're sort of, kind of.
If I sit a little bit further back, do you still hear me?
Yes, I do. We're going to
Okay.
put you on speaker view now. Why don't you fill in the blanks for us a little bit about what you've been up to? Welcome back, James.
Oh, thanks for having me back. And I've been going back into my past and doing some of my short stories. I'm putting together a collection of short stories. So I've been going back through some stuff. I have some newer short stories, some older short story, take me way back when, and some that I lost. So I have to rewrite one because I really love that story. So I'm going to rewrite it. And the other one, I can't remember what the other half of that story was. So I don't think I'm going to do anything with that.
Make up a new ending. Give it a new ending.
I got halfway through and then realized, well, this can't be all of it. But
James,
I have no idea what the story was about. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to leave that one go.
tonight you're going to dream about it and it will tell you. James, tell us a little bit about Rock Hill Publishing, please.
Rock Hill Publishing was started when so many people came up to me and asked, how did you publish a book? How can I publish a book? And is it hard to publish a book? And I could publish a book because I was a computer programmer. I worked on word processing, among other things. So I was like, no, it's not really hard to publish a book. Uh, the hard part is selling a book. But then I decided, you know what? Not only do I want to publish my own books, but I'm going to publish other people's books too. Because, the guards at the door at the big five, you got to get an agent, you got to do all these other things. And by the time you do all of that, you're dead. So,
Well, that's an interesting conclusion. Tell James, how many clients, may I ask, how many clients do you have, or how many books have you published for other people?
let's see, for other people, I think we're up to about 12 or so. I got about 8 or 10 clients now. somewhere in that category. A lot of my authors have published more than one book.
Okay.
I published more than one book for them. So we do series and got a couple of people who do one and twos, and it's been fun.
Are we talking about publishing on Kindle, publishing, are we under
Oh
your
no,
imprint? What are we
hard
doing?
hardcore publishing,
Hard,
hard copy, Amazon,
really?
everything. Yes,
Okay. Well, when I finish my book that's almost ready, I might come to you and talk to you. Okay. There you
please
go.
do.
Thank you very much. Okay. Lovely to have you back. Jennifer, JM, Jennifer, I'm putting you on speaker view. Would you please fill in some of the blanks for us and welcome back?
Yeah, so I think the last time I was here, I just had 3 books published. And this summer I released the 4th book in my series, Forsaken Souls. And I've been a writer for over 35 years. I started as a hobby, became a passion. Now it's just cheaper than therapy. But I had never shared anything until 2019, when I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And I thought maybe writing is my special interest. So I got brave and I'd finished the 1st book in my Callum Walker series. And I said, I'm going to send it to an editor. The worst they can say is it sucks. And they came back and they said, this doesn't suck. You should publish. So 2 years later, I did. And now I've got 4 books. I'm working on my 5th. I'm also working on a side project.
You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it's sort of a dystopian Robin Hood meets Romeo and Juliet with hints of Hunger Games.
You got a whole bunch of stuff woven in there. That's a lot on the plate. Very interesting. I appreciated your comment about writing is cheaper than therapy. And I noticed I was mourning the loss of somebody about a year ago. And I belong to the Writer's Digest has a poetry group. We do Wednesdays, we get a prompt from the senior editor, Robert Lee Brewer, and we're supposed to write either on the theme or use that word in a poem or something about it. And I noticed that I was writing poems, letting it all out almost every Wednesday about this person and about the relationship. And it became a theme. And then I realized it had been a year, just about a year now. And I said to myself, that's enough. Put a bow on it and wrap it up. And I also stopped therapy 3 weeks ago. So I think I'm okay. But I appreciate what you said because there's something about writing. Anybody else have that sense that you're writing and it's I don't know, bringing stuff up or cleaning out what's on your mind? Allison or James, anything in your writing style or in your writing inspiration that comes from what Jennifer said? Either one?
Yeah, practically all of it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Talk to us. Tell us. Go ahead. Talk.
you got to dig down deep inside yourself sometime to come up with a story because you see something in the news or something that strikes a chord, and the reason why it strikes a chord because you have a strong feeling for it, and and that then somehow blossoms into a full-blown story, you
Mhm.
know, short story or character that you see, and then that character says, "Hey, I've been back here all this time, and I've been telling you this," and now it's like, now you got to get it out.
That is an very interesting perspective. Thank you. Very well put. Allison, any thoughts on that from you?
I always like to say writing is my therapy too, but sort of not maybe in the direct
Mhm.
route, but more like I put pieces of myself in everything I write. So sometimes, like if I'm working through a problem, or if my kids are being especially something,
Something.
I like to write about it. I also draw like a comic called Toddler Times, which is about a lot about parenting.
What's the
So I like to
what's
just
the title of your comic?
oh, it's called Toddler Times.
Other Times. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
And
cute.
I like to put it all out because I'd rather laugh than cry, you know. So like I get everything out on the page and then I don't have to think about it anymore. It's you know, it's there, it's solid, it's concrete, and then it's out of my head.
Let's see if we can get a track here. Okay, there we go. See, I told you I have sound effects now. I just once in a while the
Nice.
right ones come up. So we got applause and a little bit of appreciation. That wasn't laughing at. That was laughing and smiling with. Thank you very much, all of you. Interesting, Jennifer. I'm glad you said that because sometimes we just go off on threads, and it's interesting to find out what we all. To me, this show is designed to find out what is unique about our own individual creativity, but more often than not, we find out what we share, what's common, what we've all experienced. And that was one. So thank you, Jennifer. We didn't even get to the creativity statements and you brought up. I appreciate that. Let's go to the opening quotes. Alison, I see Alison A. McBain. Do you have a middle initial?
Yeah, I don't use it a lot. Sometimes I do because I'm half Japanese, so sometimes I use my middle name, which is Akiko,
Beautiful.
when I'm
Oh,
writing
that's a
about Japanese culture. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? And I use AKA Radio Red on Mondays because I want to be somebody else on Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, now let me read your quote and let's see where we're going to go with this and just take a couple minutes and tell us how it relates. I raised my hand, so Zoom moved me all the way. I'll lower my hand. There, Zoom is just very reactive right now. Okay, you're quoting Jason Nesmith, played by, well, Tim Allen. He's got a new sitcom, by the way, Shifting Gears or something like that. This is from the movie Galaxy Quest, 1999 satirical sci-fi comedy film. Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Tony Shalhoub. He just started a global tour of bread around the world. Did you see that? It's on
Yeah.
CNN.
Oh,
Have you
wow.
watched it?
Nice.
Have you watched it, James?
Some of it, yeah.
I
I
watched a
watched it.
little too.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting, but he's got that mustache. He calls it the crumb catcher. The mustache is bigger than his face. No, no comment. Okay, and Sam Rockwell and Darren Milcher. It's a parody and an homage to sci-fi films and series, especially an affectionate little parody of Star Trek and its fandom, and it depicts the cast of a fictional cult TV series called Galaxy Quest. And somehow they're drawn into a real interstellar conflict, oh my, by aliens who appear, and Tim Allen's character thinks, you know what he thinks. They think it's a documentary and all kinds of things happen. So here is the quote Allison has picked. Never give up, never surrender. Okay, Allison, what does this have to do with your creativity? Or you'll make a comment about the movie too. Go.
Well, I mean, I just love that movie. I can watch that every day. It's super funny and it's just like about persevering. So in any sort of creative sphere, whether it's writing, which is what we do, or art or music, I mean, there's so much rejection, and you just have to persevere. You have to believe in yourself more than anyone else, and just keep going because it's just part of the business, and you have to just keep on going no matter what. So
There
I
you
love
go.
that quote. I think about it all the time. Anytime I get a rejection in email, I pull that quote out, and it just keeps me going on.
Yeah, I think that has to do with a lot of creativity, not just writing. I think artists would be the same, poets would be the same. Anything that you're putting part of yourself out there for something that hasn't been done, maybe it's been done before, but not by you. That's the difference, right? And just it
Exactly.
doesn't mean if everybody's not buying your paintings or coming to your show or listening to your stand-up, just don't. I like that. Don't surrender. And that's an interesting segue to James L. without the period Hill's quote, James. We have another take on this, and his quote is from Yoda, voiced and puppeteered by Frank Oz. And try writing puppeteered and see if it doesn't get flagged for a spelling error in Word. Don't even ask. Star Wars Episode V, that's 5 in Latin and Roman numerals. The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, epic space opera film. I still don't know what a space opera is, but what can I tell you? Yoda is a fictional character in the Star Wars universe, first appearing in the 1980 film. He's a green, small humanoid alien who's powerful with the Force and served as Grand Master of the Jedi Order. He's the oldest, most stoic, and most powerful Jedi Master in the Star Wars universe. That's not his voice, I know. He is described as the mentor of Obi-Wan Kenobi. What was interesting is that George Lucas opted to leave out many aspects of the character's life history. We don't know his race. We don't know his home world. We know is he's a species unknown. Interesting. And they created his speech patterns by George Lucas and Lawrence Kasdan and developed by Oz, by Frank Oz. Interesting. Okay, so here's the quote. We all know it by heart, but I'll read it for you, James. Do or do not. There is no try. Okay, James, what does this mean? I think it has something to do with Allison's quote, but what do you got?
Yes, it does have something to do with that quote. And the idea behind Yoda was that he never actually spoke direct English. And George Lucas said, if you want to make somebody memorable, you either have to give them a foreign accent, English, a, a, a British accent, or you have to rearrange their words so that they do not fall in order. And so the idea of do or do not, there is no try, would be switched around by, try but do. And the idea is you just set your mind to completing your goal. When you run a race, you don't say, I'm going to run halfway and see how I feel. You plan to run the entire race. And so when you sit down to do something, and that doesn't just mean writing, it means anything you put your mind to, anything you want to do, you don't think about when I get halfway, I'll see where I'm at. It's do it. As Nike says, just do it. Well, yeah, do or do not. There is no try. You don't try to do something. You plan to do it.
I'll have to remember that next time I think about. I've started three new series since I spoke to all of you. Since you were on the show last, I'll tell you afterwards what they are, and I'll invite you all to be on those series. But it's interesting take on. They're one-on-ones. They're not panel discussions, but interesting. I didn't know that George Lucas said that. You said,
Yes.
where?
If you want to get a point across, you
Yeah,
can give them a British accent
yeah,
or you screw up the way the person speaks because people will pay attention to that.
yes.
Yoda was the most important person in the story.
But British accents, I think we've been lulled into thinking they're very smart people because and Australians are similar, but they have a little twang that's a little bit different. So I can, anybody agree that a person with a British accent you will listen to, Allison or Jennifer, you
Well,
think?
yeah, because usually in the movie they're the bad guy.
And that's true too. A lot of time the bad guys are always English. You wonder why
Yeah, exactly.
Or the smartest one.
But
Yes.
they're smart. Yes.
Yes.
Or the best looking one. Never mind. Okay, there you go. Well, thank you for that, James. That's very interesting. I always love learning something from my guests. And Jennifer, let's go to you. And you've got an interesting quote that is not exactly like theirs, but we might find a segue. It's from Carol Susan Jane Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, played by Brie Larson from the movie superhero film 2019. Is it really 6 years ago? Captain Marvel, based on the Marvel Comics, featuring the character Carol Danvers, produced by Marvel Studio, distributed by Walt Disney, blah, 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 blah. It's the 21st film in the MCU. Those of you who don't know what that is, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and blah, 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 blah. Set in 1995, she is initially depicted as a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot who was given superhuman abilities. Allison, don't we wish as moms we had superhuman abilities? And Jennifer, too, I think we do. When a light speed engine test went wrong and she was exposed to the cosmic energy of the Tesseract and she was transformed into a human knee hybrid via blood transfusion and named for, I'm just going to stop that. Okay, let me go to the quote, Jennifer. And I raised my hand and Zoom moved me around again. Stop that, Zoom. Okay, and the quote, I lost everything. Hold on. And the quote is, I've been fighting with one arm tied behind my back, but what happens when I'm really set free? Jennifer, did I say that right?
Yes, sounds good.
Okay.
Yes, that's about right.
Rescue me. What does this have to do with our topic and your creativity? Go.
I mean, we can sit here and say, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. Oh, I have excuses for not doing this and not doing that. But, if we can triumph over all those excuses, imagine what we can do if we put 100% of ourselves into it and we're not limited. And I know with my autism and stuff, I really try hard not to look at it as a disability. I try to look at it as what can I, it's like a superpower. It allows me to look at the world in a what if type scenario, and it allows me to build on my creativity.
I like that. One arm behind my back or sitting on both hands or feet crossed under the desk. And what happens when I'm free? I think all three quotes are related in a way. What do you all think? Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I think is the big key.
Yeah, and you know something? I don't, and to my viewers, we actually have people watching live on YouTube today. Everybody wave hello to YouTube. Thank you for watching. We
Hey,
appreciate you.
YouTube.
Thank you very much. It didn't say 3 million or 300,000. I just said three, but where everybody counts in the show. Okay, my point was that I don't want anybody to think that I got together with James and James got together with Jennifer and Jennifer got together and said, oh, let's all pick three quotes that Red can say, oh, look how they all relate to each other. This is just, it's a crapshoot. It's just pick a quote from a fictional movie, TV show, or song lyric and send it to me, and you don't even see each other's quotes. On one of my other shows, I publish in the invitation everything people send me. It's a technology show. Their predictions, their quotes, and everything. But on this show, I don't publish it. So you don't have any. That's why I like this marvelous, the way the thread, that needle is threaded among all of us. I appreciate that. Okay. And my favorite quote I haven't said in years is a French quote. Plus ça change, plus à la même chose. I don't know if you know what that means. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And I think for me, that's what this show is. It's still the same, that we're all different, we're all unique, and yet we're all coming at it from an interesting and common thread direction. And I'm using my hands a lot today because I'm growing my nails. Okay, let's go. I haven't found the polish yet. Let's go to our creativity statements. Allison, I'm going to combine your statement 1 and 3. You don't have to find them. I will read them for you. And here's what we're going to do. I want you to unpack just for a couple minutes, and then I want James and Jennifer. Now, you know I don't respond to the middle finger, but wiggle one of your nice fingers at me and I will see you, and I want you to comment on what Allison said. So we'll make it a round table, okay? Which we already have been doing. So Allison says, writing stories is like breathing to me. If I stop, I don't know if I'll still be. That's one of the most powerful statements anybody has ever sent me on the show. I don't know if I'll still be alive. I don't write because of money, fame, or fortune. I write because not writing is unthinkable. And then I'm going to add one more to that. Most of my writing is in the morning when the kids are in school, but I love the freedom of making my own schedule. If I want to take kids to a movie in the middle of the day, I can, and I catch up on my work at night when they're all in bed. So let's talk about writing is breathing to you. I think you sent that to me a couple years ago too, Allison, and I remarked the same. It's fine because it's very unusual to hear that from a writer, to say that, I think, in front of anybody. So I'm going to put you back on speaker view. Let her defend it for a little bit, Jennifer, and then we'll get you on with a comment. Jennifer is raring to go. Allison, talk to us a little bit. How did you discover this feeling? Go ahead.
Well, I've always been a writer. It's something that as soon as I knew how to string words together when I was 4, I was writing stories, I was writing poems. And it's something that I just knew that this was why I'm on this earth, is to write. It took me a bit longer to get published, but I've always been a writer. And again, it is like breathing to me. I can't imagine stopping. I can't imagine not having stories like bouncing around my head. It's just, I've had this certainty for my whole entire life that this is what I'm supposed to do. And I've reached where I'm so thrilled to be able to do it, to sit down every day, to write, to edit, to have this as my career. It really is a dream come true, to be able to do this. So.
And you made the dream and you made it come true. Are you a pantser or a plotter, Allison? Or both?
I'm one of the ones who went to the dark side. I'm a plotter. I started out as a pantser, but then I kept on writing myself into corners. And I was like, this is a lot of work. I just want the fun. So I started planning, and I found it was much easier because it was like a roadmap. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to take this road today. And I know where I'm going to end up. So it made it much easier. Yeah.
Thank you. Jennifer wants to comment. Go.
Yes, no, I'm very, very much the same. I like how you said it's writing is like breathing, because I've always called it soul fuel, which is very similar in that regard.
James, anything you want to add to that?
Yes, I would go with the other comments you made, which is there's always stories rolling around in my head because I stopped writing for years, working as a computer programmer and other things like that, which is still creative. But it wasn't writing story, but the stories never stopped coming. And so at one point in my life, I decided, you know what? I got to get these stories out of my head and get them down on paper. And, and it's not about making money. It's not about being famous. It's about having to tell the story. It just has to be out there.
Interesting.
I think.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say, you guys probably all agree with me that if we didn't write, we wouldn't sleep.
I don't sleep anyway, so.
I don't sleep that much either.
James, my kids made me buy a smart bed, and it tells me how much I sleep, and I'm actually sleeping pretty well these nights, and it tells me my heart rate and how long it took to fall asleep and how jumpy I was and how many times I got up, and it tells me my restful sleep, and it tells me all kinds, my breathing rate, my heart rate, and all that.
I don't need that.
I don't either. It's on my phone. If I don't look at the app, I don't know. But what I want to tell all of you is I do write. I read poetry, and every Wednesday at the poetry group, I write 3 to 5 poems. I don't just write one. And I'll tell you later some of the styles I write, and I've created some of my own hybrid styles. Okay, I'll tell you later. But what I want to say was coming up in November, it will be the Poem a Day Challenge, the PAD, where we get a prompt every day of the month, same in April. And I'll write 3 to 5 poems every day for November. So I've written about 700 poems. And I've only put about 25, 30 of them into a chapbook about 2 years ago. But I think I need to assemble them. And James, I'll talk to you about putting something together. Okay, that would be interesting. But where you need to write, I have the need to talk to interesting people. And that's why I get up in the morning. And that's what keeps me up at night getting ready for my shows because I know all of you have stories. I want to know your stories. I want to know your creativity. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know on my tech show, I want to know their predictions. I want to know what you're all thinking. And it's my joy to give people a platform. I'm not promoting myself. It's just my joy to say, I've got a show, come and talk to me. Come and talk to my audience and let's just talk like real people. That's giving people a chance to share their stories is what makes me happy. That's what makes me breathe, just so you all know. Okay, enough of that wisdom there and philosophy. Let's move on. I'm looking at James L. without the period. I'm never going to forgive you for this. At your creativity statements, and I'm going to combine 3 of them. Okay, let's see where we go with this. James says, my best time to create is after midnight. The world is really very quiet around 2 a.m. I agree. I've written at that time. He says, I spend a lot of time studying people, imagining what are they thinking and why they look that way. That's an interesting way. And talking about plotter and pantser, I plot everything I write first in my head, sometimes for years, then on paper before I write. No idea is ever wasted. If it's good, it'll come around again. Repeat is the word. James, I put them all together because I thought they were all so good, and I think they tell a story about you. So why don't you spend a couple minutes unpacking these, and then we'll see what the ladies have to say. Go ahead, James.
Yes, like I said, I stopped writing for years, but I never stopped creating. And I I lived in New York City for a long time. And so I would sit down in the park or 42nd Street or Fifth Avenue. And one thing about New York is there's a lot of people there. If you're not from a big city, you don't know people until you go to New York and people say, wow, they're just so, but it's so interesting to watch people and to pick out characters and pick out characteristics and just make up stories about people. And I had other writer friends who we would sit down and we would say, that guy right there, go. And then we would just tell a story about some random guy or girl walking past and just make up something about them. And it's just so much fun to sit there. And I became very astute at studying people, studying the way they walk. So I can build them into characters. And I have used people as characters. And I told some people, I'm putting you in a book, either their name or the way they look, maybe the job they have. I would just say, hey, I'm going to put you in a book. I'm going to put you in my next book, and this is what it's about. And I remember I told one woman, and they was in a hotel. I was staying in a hotel out in San Diego because I was working out in San Diego for the government, so they sent me to San Diego, and I was staying in this hotel. And I was talking to the bartender who was from, I think, Iran or Iraq, and the the other girl who was from South America. And I told her, I'm going to put you in this book in my killer series. And the girl said, well, just don't kill me. I said, no, no, no. You two are going to be murderers. You are going to be a hit team. And they were like, and the guy was like, ooh, I love that. I love that. And I figured, two completely different people from different places. I put them together. They became this sort of husband and wife hit team. And
Wow.
that's the way the
Mr. and
twisted
Mrs.
mind
Smith.
works.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
L. Interesting, interesting. I have a question for you. Did you have to put in the disclaimer that those characters were based on real people? Did you tell them what the book was?
No, I told them what the book was going to be, but I did not put a disclaimer or anything like that in there. I just
Okay.
figured if they read the book, they'll know this. They'll
They'll
know.
know. They'll know. So technically it's fictional. Very, very interesting. And what about, wait a minute, what about writing after 2 o'clock in the morning? Is that your favorite time to write?
Yeah, because when my kids growing up and you have all kinds of things to do and everything pulling at you for time and all that kind of stuff, I was a football coach, a basketball coach, all
Mm.
kinds of, other things that go on during the day and But come 2 o'clock in the morning, everybody's asleep. It's quiet. I have the TV over there playing the um, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim. So I got the anime cartoons going because it's a half-hour show, and I know exactly when the time is going to be, and I can clock myself that way because I have no concept of time. So 2 o'clock in the morning, everything's quiet. The animes are going on over on the side, and I'm sitting there just writing away. And it only became a problem when I started getting interested in anime and I start watching. So, but 2 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning is very quiet.
yeah.
Everybody's asleep,
Yep.
and I can just sit there and write. And it's also when I used to do programming. My best
Yep.
programming I would do would be at night, and
Yep.
I would get out of bed because finally I got a solution to a problem. On
Yep.
the same thing, I got the next part of the story. I finally
Yep.
because I plotted everything, but plotting the story and actually writing the story and things that come out in the story is a lot different. So you have to get that creative energy and you get those juices
Yep.
going and things start happening.
I
It always
agree.
seems to happen at 2 in the morning.
And you know what? Hopefully the phone doesn't ring and you don't get as many emails. I have people I deal with on some of my shows who are in Europe, and so they're 6 or 7 hours ahead. So if I get something at 3 in the morning, it's early morning anyway. Blah blah blah. What language did you code in? Remind me, James.
Let's see. I did basic. I did C plus plus. I did C sharp. I did uh, Python, JavaScript, a whole lot of them.
I did a little assembler and I did PL1 and COBOL.
BL1
I did COBOL for years. I did
and
big systems
Cobol.
on COBOL. There you go.
In
So there
fact,
you go.
I lied and said I didn't know Kobo, and one of my coworkers said, "You're old enough to have known Kobo."
Of course. And we did. And it was a wonderful language. I want to go to Jennifer and Allison. Anything you want to say about working late at night or about studying people and making up stories? Jennifer, Allison, talk to me.
Yeah, I was very much a people watcher because I was trying to figure out like how to communicate with people, and I was always but along with the watching people, I was always envisioning what if scenarios, like what if the sun went out today? How would we survive? What would happen to our economy?
Oh,
Um yeah.
that's
As far
deep.
as the two yeah, as far as the 2 a.m. writing, oh, that would be nice, but my kids do not have a snooze button, so they get up at the butt crack of dawn. So
Okay. Interesting. Allison, any thoughts about any of that?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I was just thinking, I used to live in New York City also, way back when, and it
Long
is
Island, Long Island.
fabulous.
Good.
Yes, it
Yes.
is fabulous for people watching. It really is. You
Yes.
know, you could just sit at a cafe and just watch people go by and put them in your book. It reminds me of a meme, which is, never piss off a mystery writer because they will put you in a book and kill you. So, like,
they
but
will
actually,
destroy
you
you.
made them the murderers. So that's
That
better,
is
I guess.
funny. That is funny. Well, James, I want to tell you a little story. When I lived in Oregon years ago, I just become a divorcee, single mom, and I had two kids, and my kids are 5 years apart. So I take my son to the library. That's when you actually took your kids to the library to do their studying and find their research for their, yeah, way before I won't, we didn't have cell phones oh, I'm dating myself here.
Oh,
Anyway,
I know.
and so my daughter and I would sit in the car, and she was 5 years younger. She was a little kid, and we'd sit in the car, and she'd get a little bored, and because it was a ways distance from the house, and so I would take them there, and then I made a game. Everybody who came out of the library, I would make up a story and say, "Is that your brother?" No, he doesn't have gray hair, and he's not 6'2" and tall, and he doesn't have this funny-looking backpack. And I make up all these stories about these people, and she was hysterical, laughing. So everybody who came out, I made a story of who they were, what they had looked like, what they looked for in the library, what kind of reading material they had, and who they might be and where they're going. And then she'd say, "Mommy, no, that's not my brother." And we just, and this went on, and sometimes, oh my God, I got to do this for another 20 minutes. And then eventually he'd come out. So anyway, I appreciate that. That's a very, very interesting concept. When I wrote my romantic comedy plays, I wrote them between 1 and 4 in the morning about 10 years ago. And one play I wrote in, I think, 4 nights from 1 to 4. I had a full-time job, but James, it just wanted to come out. It said, write the damn dialogue. And I did. And then I produced them in my TV studio and I got community theater actors and I put up a teleprompter so they didn't have to memorize their lines and nobody could see it. We did green screen. It was just adorable. It was so much fun and I had to direct and coach and it was great. But those stories told me, and those characters said to me, this is who I am, this is what I look like, this is what I feel like, this is my background, this is how I talk. This is what I'm going to do in your play. It wasn't any work at all. It was just sitting there and letting the channel just come through me. Quite an experience. Do you all feel that way with your characters? Do they talk to you? Jennifer says yes.
Oh yeah.
James?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Allison, what about you?
Yeah, I sort of like live their lives. Like when I'm writing, I'm like in their world and I can sort of see it happening through their eyes. I don't know if you guys get that too, but
Yeah.
it might, yeah, sometimes sometimes it's hard getting out of that world. So I'll wander around the house and my kids will say something to me and I'll go into the fridge and I'll eat something and I'll go back, be like, what the heck did I just do for the last 20 minutes? Like I don't remember because I was in my head. I was in this world
Zone
and like living
in
it.
the zone. Well, my
Exactly.
characters were single the first play, and they met on a dating site where they weren't allowed to share their names or anything, and they had numbers, and they were supposed to meet in front of Penn Station. Those of you in New York, in a crowd in Penn Station, and they had a Groucho Marx fake nose and funny glasses that I actually bought and gave to the characters, gave to the people. And so they, are you R2 number 93.72? Yeah, are you? Well, and I had them introduce each other with the numbers, and they got into a cab and went on a date. And they just told me what to say. But I had been using some online dating sites at the time, so I just took it a little to the extreme. Let's not go there. Red. Okay, I'm going to go to Jennifer's creativity statements, and I've got a couple picked out here from you. I've got actually three of them, so let me read them. Jennifer says, I create best when I'm emotionally stirred. Grief, rage, awe, or wonder always make their way onto the page. That's heavy. And then you say, my creativity tends to ambush me at inconvenient times, driving in the shower, halfway through folding the laundry. Well, that can wait. So I keep my phone or a notebook close by. And then you say, I build stories that start with characters, not plots. If I understand their wounds, I can shape the world around them. Wow. Jennifer, tell us a little more, please. James is nodding, and I think Allison's thinking about nodding, and I'm nodding. So, Jennifer, I'm putting you back on speaker view. We'd love to know more, please.
Yeah, so I have a book, notebook by my bedside that, because I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll be like, oh, I've got an idea, and I'll jot it down before and because I can't stay up all night writing. My kids are just too noisy to sleep through. But I have these scenes that I have no stories for, but they're great scenes, and I'm thinking about my characters in different situations, and I think about my characters first and then put them in situations. So I have a document on my computer that's just scenes, like the car chase scene, the mountain climbing scene. And when I get a story that needs it, then I will have it. But, that's sometimes how I can be creative. But the emotions are important because if I'm writing a horror story, it's best for me to write in the dark. If I'm writing something that's sad, it's helpful to feel those emotions because it translates better into the page.
Interesting. By the way, did you want to hold up a couple of your books? I know you got your books before we started. You want to
Yeah,
do that
well,
now?
it's just my fourth book in my series just came out this summer,
Okay.
and
Congratulations.
yes, it's my baby. It's my fourth in my series, and when my fifth comes out, I'll be super excited about that.
Nice to have a lot of kids rolling around, including the real ones, right? There you go.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go around the table on what she said. James,
Oh
Allison,
yes.
go ahead.
Those dark emotions, they really, really spice up a story and they really, you know, perk you up to write something. I find the dark emotions, the sad, the grief, if it makes me cry, I know it'll make my readers cry. If it makes me cringe, I know it's gonna make the reader cringe. And you gotta write from the heart, you know. I think Allison said that she's all the characters in her story. And actually, I don't remember if it was Freud or Jung who said that we are all the people in our dreams. No matter who you dream of your mother, your father, some person on your job or whatever, they're all reflections of you.
Hmm.
And as we write, all those emotions are coming out of us, whether they're good or bad, they're all reflections of who we are as as people, and we reflect the world off of us as how we see it through
Well,
our eyes and through our
well put.
character's eyes.
I don't remember most of my dreams other than those wisps when I wake up and I say, wait a minute, where was I? What was that? What was that? Wasn't there a white bed or there was a person there or was there a room and there was a car? And then they just they just vaporize. Allison, any thoughts on what Jennifer or James shared?
Yeah, definitely. So for writing fiction, I like to be sort of the calm, quiet place. I'm like the absolute silence type of writer. But when I'm feeling emotional, where I like to go is actually poetry, because poetry is all about emotion. So I totally relate to what you said, Jennifer, just because like as soon as I'm like, feeling grief or feeling like rage or feeling like utter joy, I'm just like, oh, I have to write a poem. it's and yeah, it's fabulous for capturing it for sure.
I gotta get you into the poetry group. It's free and you just register on Disqus, disq.us and with an email and a name and then you can just comment and we give each other thumbs up and it's very nice. Good group of people.
Oh,
But
nice.
I
Nice.
want to read a little Jennifer, this is for you. I want to read a little quote here. You've all heard of rock star David Burns,
Yes.
and he wrote
Talking heads.
A Little Beginnings Trek, right, for a wildly creative 2023. I found this quote. He says, "You're already more creative than you think. You just need to pay attention to your ideas." Songwriter and former Talking Heads frontman David Byrne. He was a guest on a show, a podcast from somebody named Stephen Johnson called How Ideas Happen, and he got into his inspiration. I saved this and I think it's appropriate here. He said, "Sometimes I just have the title of a song that comes to me and I write it down and I go, expand on that. I think there's something there." That's like with your scenes, right? And I have in my computer a whole lot of music ideas that maybe have a melody, a nonsense word melody, awaiting words. But usually I need something to start with. Hard to start from nothing. I'll accumulate these very little beginnings. And when I come back, I've got something to build on. And then the comment in the article I read says, our minds fizz with fragments of ideas, puzzles to ponder, clues on how to fix a problem. Most of us undervalue that chatter, but you, the three of you, don't undervalue that chatter. Writers and artists systematically capture the little beginnings. Treat your ideas like little musical fragments. Choose one old entry and devote 30 minutes to improve it. That was just the advice from the person who wrote the. What do you think? Little beginnings?
Oh yeah. A lot of my stories start with the title
There you go.
or
There you
or
go.
the end.
There you
One
go.
one or
Oh,
the other. Or the
okay.
end. I know what's gonna happen in the very last scene. What's gonna happen to this person? And then from there, I have to jump all the way back to the beginning and say, how are we gonna get there? How is
Okay.
this gonna work out? But a lot of times I just have the title and that sparks the whole story.
There you go. Interesting about the inspirations. Jennifer, you want to say something?
Yeah, I always start with a question, and it's a what if question. And I know with my series, my question that I started with was, what if fairy tales were real? We just didn't know it. And I start with this question, which sparks ideas. And then I don't, I used to be a pantser. I used to know beginning, middle, end, and then everything else filled itself in. But as I've gotten, better, like I've been doing more in depth into my series, I'm becoming a little bit more of a plotter. But I always started with that. If I knew the beginning, middle, and end, then I could fill in everything else.
Interesting. Allison, anything you want to? I'm ready to wrap up here, but Allison, any comments you want to make?
Yeah, so one thing that I find really helpful when I'm like coming up with an idea is something called, have you guys heard of a log line? It's often used for writing scripts. It's where you have your main character, your main antagonist, what situation they face, and you just sort of write a one sentence or maybe sometimes a two sentence, just sort of like a encapsulation of what you want the story to be from beginning to end. So I often start there and then I expand. So I start with like, I know my two maybe main characters, the good guy, the bad guy, and what's going to happen. And then I just build everything else from there.
Interesting. I'm going to ask each of you, I didn't plan on this, but your favorite character or your character who's most often, if you have series, most often appears in multiple books in the series. One sentence about who they are. Describe them to us. Jennifer, you want to start?
Yeah, I have a character that shows up in every single one of my books.
Okay.
Um, and his name is Agus. And
Spell it.
well, I'm saying it's Agis. That's his last name. His first name is Yorick.
Okay.
And he is my autistic slash Spock.
Interesting. Okay, good. Allison, do you have a character you want to tell me? One sentence?
I don't really have a favorite character. I have lots of favorite. I've written a number of things. One of my favorite characters from my last book, The New Empire, actually, he's my favorite because he is at first portrayed as the villain, and you realize that he actually has the best interests of the protagonist at heart. That doesn't stop some of the tragedy of the story, but you hopefully, as you're reading the book, you hate him at first, and you realize, oh wait, he's not such a bad guy.
First name of the character?
Is Onas.
Interesting names. James, you have one for me?
Oh yeah, it's from the Killer series. It's Bulletproof Morris Mojo Johnson.
Give me one sentence if I can't figure it out from the name. What's he all about?
Okay, he keeps picking up these nicknames from all the things that happened to him. So he gets the name Bulletproof because he survived a shootout in a bulletproof limousine. And they call Lucky Luciano Lucky because he survived being shot at in a bulletproof limousine. They didn't know it was bulletproof. They tried to kill him and they fired at the limousine and the limousine was bulletproof. So they called him Lucky Luciano. So he's become bulletproof. Morris Johnson is his name. And his friend Nicky, the mobster, called him Mojo after Mojo rising from the doors.
Oh, that's a riot. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And I want to read you all. I have a lot of characters in mind. I can't read the names right now because it's not published yet. But I want to read you all a poem I wrote for the July 24th. It was a Wednesday poetry prompt from the group. And the prompt we got from the moderator was night shift. And I wrote an acrostic, NIGHTSHIFT, okay? And I'll try to lean in and emphasize when I get to each letter so you can find it. So here we go. This is dedicated to all of you. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative. Going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows, flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights are the days again, shifting off and on, into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration, fears. Thus is the life of the creative. What do you think?
Nice.
Yeah.
Did I nail it? Yeah, thank you. I like to read that at the end because I find it relates to my creativity and to most of my guests. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now, I'm going to read the closing and then we're going to have the outro music. And I'm just delighted to have the three of you. And I'm going to send a thank. Well, you're going to send a thank you to Mickey and tell him how well I treated you, as I always do. And that would be great. So let me read my closing. I don't know if any of you remember this, but in 2014, of course, you didn't know me back then, but I closed my shows. This is more for Jennifer and Allison. I closed my shows with the top 10 tips for women. Okay. And I saved the notes. I save a lot of notes. The number one tip was, and this is 11 years ago, aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Okay. There you go. They got it. James, James laughed too. Okay, good. I've got this in front. I'm blocking part of the screen. Okay. And now here's the ending. You all know this. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. I'm still figuring that one out. Kiss slowly. Oh, yes. Love truly, laugh uncontrollably. Laugh with me, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Pretty good. And never regret anything that made you smile. And final closing. Work like you don't need the money. And I think all of us said we write because we have to, because we want to. It's not, we're not, never mind about bestsellers and all that. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I was teaching disco in high heels and they gave me a Formica tabletop in the high school cafeteria in Eugene, Oregon, I said, get me a wooden stage. But I never fell and everybody watched at what legs I had. Sing like nobody's listening. And I didn't sing today. And love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart heal. Let it grow again. Learn to love again. Open it up. Money talks, chocolate sings, and now I'll sing la. Not bad. And last but not least, I stole this line from another host 20 years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Radio Red, happy to be here. Delighted to have my guests. And let's see if we can get this outro to go. Give me a second here.
On Read My
Here we
Lips
go.
Radio, producer and host, aka Radio
Come on,
Red,
James, I want
invites
to
you
get
to
dancing.
eavesdrop on her live, unscripted conversations with smart,
he's
savvy,
good.
creative people
Look at those
as she
shoulders.
discovers what makes them tick,
Rocking
where they
shoulders,
find their
James.
inspiration, when creativity first
We
became
still
their
have 3
passion,
people watching
and how
us.
their creative process can inspire the rest of us to think out
Think
of the
outside
box.
the box.
Enjoy,
Here we
aka
go.
Radio Red's always lively,
Lively,
cool conversations with creatives.
Your creatives.
Oh,
the
how those lips can talk.
Thank you, and bye-bye
On
to
Read
all.
My Lips Radio,
Okay, we're
producer
gonna
and
stop
host,
that right
aka
now.
Radio.
All right, we don't need to hear that again. Bye to